Audio description of opening graphics. Graphics appearing during the narration show students and instructors in various educational activities.
Why universal design in an educational setting? Utilizing universal design is an important step toward making an institution one that is inclusive for everyone who chooses to participate in its programs and services. Universal design in an educational setting not only encompasses the physical environment of a campus, but also includes classroom instruction. Universal design originated in the field of architectural design. They describe universal design as the design of products and environments to be usable by all people to the greatest extent possible, without the need for adaptation or specialized design. When this concept is applied to an educational setting, access to the institution's programs and services is obtainable to a wider range of diverse learners, one that includes students with disabilities. In this video, you'll hear how several instructors have embraced the ideas of universal design in their classroom instruction and course creation. They'll share how they created an environment that is inclusive and that benefits all students.
It's really very simple and very intuitive and wonderful for all the students. It really shouldn't be anything that's for just particular students. It helps everyone.
The thing that's key is that people perceive and learn in different ways, and we forget we have to think beyond the obvious two, the visual and the auditory, the hearing and the seeing of material in traditional lecture modes.
Students with disabilities often feel uncomfortable identifying themselves to instructors as students with disabilities. Universal design in an educational setting creates an environment where it is not necessary for students with disabilities to self-identify. Next, you will hear several students describe their disabilities and educational access needs. They will describe instructional approaches that have been the most helpful to them for gaining better access to their courses.
It's more with the teachers that once in a while you have problems with, because you'll tell them, oh, I have this, and they'll be like, oh, what's an accommodation plan? And it's like, you're a teacher here, you should know, like, wow, you know, what these accommodation plans are, and especially like the new teachers, because I've had actually quite a bit of like the new professors here at the school, and some of them have no idea what the plan is, or they don't know like how they should go about things, which I find is a problem, because then I'm sitting there trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I do this now?
I had a class where I would not ask for a note taker because I was afraid of how people would look at me.
So you would lose your anonymity as a student with a disability.
A lot of times you just want to blend in and be normal. And the second you do that, for some people, they're afraid that everyone's going to start looking at you different, maybe treat you different, and all this stuff, and they don't want that. They just want to be one of the people, you know, just like everybody else.
Some teachers don't really quite understand that it may look like I don't need thus and so, but I really, truly do. And then I am, that's where my attitude, I think, really becomes a problem, because I'm too ashamed to go and ask again. I really didn't get this. Could you help me with this, or could someone else work with me? I work better with another student or other people to hear again the information. So the teacher attitude is one, but there are some teachers that are really good and some that just don't quite understand that it is necessary for me.
Yes, and if I could add to it, I agree with what you just said. It is all about the teacher's attitude. It makes a big difference, especially when we talked about the group work. Yes. Sometimes those students, you know, talk too fast, and sometimes the teachers just sit back and let that happen. And, you know, there are, you know, the interpreter is usually a few seconds behind, still catching up on what the other person was saying. And so then what happens is I'm still thinking about the last comment, and then in order for me to participate and say something and really take in the information, what I want to comment on was already passed. And so it's awkward. So it's really hard for me to participate. And sometimes I sit back as well and think, oh, well, forget it. I just won't participate. It's too much of a hassle. Forget it. But if the teacher could you know, come in and actually take the role on and say, hey, you know, can we just make sure that we're all, you know, allowed to participate in this group? I think that if the teacher takes on that responsibility, it helps. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Yes, I do. It really, truly does.
For myself, personally, triggering my memory would be crib notes or being able to use an open book test or my notes, per se, which I know that's not feasible, that's not right for everybody else, for me to be able to use my notes. But that's just part of the MS. There is no memory. The way the plaque is building up in my brain, it's getting worse and worse. And what he could tell, what the instructors or he or her could tell me in the beginning of the class, by the end of the class I've forgotten already. Even with my notes. I look at it and go, oh, I don't remember them saying that. And I mean, I write it down, but even writing it down doesn't jog my memory. I've only had one class, and he lets the whole class use notes. We have to write it down on a 5x7 index card. Whatever we can get on that card, front and back, and on the sides, like he says. If you can write small enough to put it on the sides, he lets the whole class do it. Because he doesn't believe in having to remember root facts. He says, I want you to remember the gist of what the class is for. I don't believe that everybody should have to memorize facts for the sake of memorizing facts.